First of all, I want to know what the root of that is. Is it medication related, that you're just not feeling sex, that you haven't craved or desired sex for a long time? Is it emotional stuff that's happening for you, that you're feeling so low that you're not feeling sexy? Is it a body thing? And associated with that, is it a relational thing, that sex with your partner isn't that great? So it's not that you don't want sex at all, it's just that you're avoiding sex because the experience isn't all that awesome with your partner. So I think it's very tough to kind of tease out these different issues, but first figuring out what the root of the issue is. First of all, is it an issue, and why is it an issue? Is it because you're in a relationship and you're not wanting sex all the time, or is it just personal, feeling like you should be wanting sex? Sex is a very interesting thing. And so there's no rule about how much sex you should be having. Some people are like rabbits and they're screwing several times a day, and there are some people, and up until their 80s, I'm not even kidding. And then there are some people that can have sex twice a year and that is sufficient for their desires, and that's fine. There's no rule on it. What happens is, in a relationship, often we find two partners and one wants sex more than the other. And I've seen it with both men and women in both positions, one wanting more, one wanting less. And it becomes personal because it gets a little tricky. There's also that yin and yang, the what are you getting from sex? The intimacy, and you're wanting the connection and the attachment and the whatever that is, that emotional piece that makes you feel connected to that other person. And then there's that getting laid. Yeah, I just want to get laid, right? And we need both parts, and sometimes we tend to be a little more yin, tend to be a little more yang. And even that language I got from this woman who is amazing. I know her personally. She actually worked with me quite a bit when I was really sick. Her name is Lauren Brim, and she is absolutely fantastic. She just published a book called The Rules of Sex. And honestly, I would reach out to her if you're having some specific sex-related questions, because she is money. She will give you much better advice than I will ever have for you. But that's one concept that she really talks about, is first finding out what the root of it is. There's also a lot of history behind sex. What kind of shame issues come up? What kind of trauma issues might pop up? So there's so much behind and underneath sexual issues within, from a personal standpoint and from a relationship standpoint. And the other piece of it is, if you're not wanting sex, how can you meet that need of your partner, or help them meet that need for themselves, without you feeling obligated or pressured to do something sexual that you don't want to do? It is never, ever, ever okay for someone to pressure you to do something sexual that you don't want to do. And there is a difference between doing things because you know it makes your partner happy, that's, no pun intended, skin off your back, versus doing something that you felt like you didn't have a choice and you were forced to do. There are times where we do things for our partners that are like, honey, I'll do this for you because, and that's okay. And hopefully that's a mutual thing that's happening in many partnerships. That's just what a marriage or a partnership is about. It's a lot of compromise. But at any point when you feel like you don't have the right, and there's going to be some kind of really crucial consequence for not saying no, that starts to move into a more abusive relationship. And sex drive for many is very, again, if you're more of a yang instead of a yin, it can be very attached to intimacy. And if you don't have trust, it is hard to get turned on for many people. And so, for most people, to be honest. And so the intimacy part would really need to be addressed first. And usually in a safe environment where you both get to talk about it, and with a specialist, even if it were just you to call someone who can work through some of those issues with you and find little techniques and tricks for building some trust. When any kind of trust is broken and intimacy is broken, what happens is people want to say, okay, I forgive you, and then jump right back to safety zone and sexual zone. And it can't be like that. What has to happen is to have some stair steps and to build that trust and build that intimacy back.